I think just describing Prince William's absence this week as a personal matter certainly hasn't satisfied people, not just out of pure speculation and gossip, but really because of concern. Because, when you've got the King unwell, when you've got the Princess of Wales unwell, and then you get a last minute pull out by Prince William when he was only due to be going up the road to St George's Chapel and for his godfather and giving a reading, then you do start to worry.
Prince Harry hasn't had much luck in court lately. He's now failed to overturn a court ruling which removed full police protection for the Duke of Sussex while he's in the UK with Meghan. But there is new information about exactly what threat those paparazzi posed to Harry and Meghan when they found themselves in a car chase in New York last year. We're joined now by Sarah Hewson, Talk TV's royal correspondent. Good morning, Sarah.
Morning to you, Kate.
Now, for people who haven't been following this as closely, what exactly happened yesterday?
Well, Prince Harry has been fighting this legal battle. Ultimately, it goes back to January 2020, when he and Meghan announced they were stepping down as working royals and moving away from the UK. And there's been a long-running battle with the Home Office and RAVEC, that's the committee that decides on security for members of the royal family and other VIPs, over what provisions his security should be, given that he's no longer a frontline working member of the royal family. He argues that he should still have the same automatic right to police protection when he's in the UK as he always did, because he was born a prince and he remains a prince, and he is the son of the king. He'd argued in court that, in fact, the threat to him was greater than it was to his mother, Princess Diana, and that he'd received death threats from Al-Qaeda after writing in his book Spare about killing Taliban members during his deployment to Afghanistan. He'd argued that the decision made to downgrade his security to one that's decided on a case-by-case basis. So he has to apply 28 days in advance, and then his security provision is decided by that committee. He'd argued that that was singling him out and that it was unfair, that he was being treated unfavourably. But the High Court decided that wasn't the case. Prince Harry, though, has vowed that the fight goes on, and he's going to appeal this, so it will head to the Court of Appeal, but that's going to take probably another year.
And what's the significance of it? Because as you say there, if in theory he was to have to give 28 days notice before arriving in the UK, that would have made it very difficult for him to visit his dad, the king, who's obviously very unwell at the moment. I mean, he made a flying visit recently. What would be the implications of this decision on a visit like that in the future?
Yeah, and that's a really interesting example, Kate, because he did make this last-minute visit to see his father after King Charles's cancer diagnosis, and then he did have police protection, meeting him from Heathrow Airport and taking him to Clarence House, and then onwards. So it seems that 28-day rule isn't always rigidly applied when it suits. So I think when Harry returns for royal engagements, for example, when he was here for the late Queen's funeral, when he was here for his father's coronation, when he and Meghan were here for the Platinum Jubilee, they do become a part of the bigger royal security operation. It's just that it's not automatic. So if he and Meghan decided to come back, if he was on a book tour, if he was filming here, if there were other engagements that he was doing that didn't involve the royal family, then he would have to apply, and it wouldn't be guaranteed.
And what did we find out about that car chase? Because we all remember seeing the pictures. It did look quite frightening at the time. We found a little bit more out about that yesterday.
Yeah, this is really interesting because this was this car chase that took place in New York after Meghan and Harry and Meghan's mother had attended an awards ceremony there. And it ended up being much mocked. They described it as a near catastrophic car chase, but even the NYPD seemed to pour cold water on their claims at the time. Now it's emerged in a document from the NYPD, which was revealed in court, that actually it was reckless, it was dangerous behaviour by the paparazzi, that their security and the NYPD did have to take evasive action, and it was relentlessly dangerous. And I think that is some vindication for Harry and Meghan, although he lost yesterday. Certainly, this is proof of some of what they said, and the NYPD saying that they had sufficient evidence to arrest two individuals for their behaviour in New York.
And just turning to what's happening here in the UK with the royal family, obviously Catherine has been unwell, has had an operation, and is recuperating. There are starting to emerge some stories in the newspapers asking what exactly is wrong with her and when we might see more from her. Do you think the palace will soon have to answer that question?
I think it's really difficult for the palace right now. It has been a terrible start to 2024 for the royal family. And this week alone has been relentless in the headlines and the bad news. We had the tragic death of Thomas Kingston as well. But more questions being asked after Prince William was a no-show at his godfather's memorial service this week. And when you see Prince Andrew leading the royal family into St. George's Chapel, you really see the void, the vacuum into which he has stepped. Look, Kensington Palace have been pretty clear about the Princess of Wales, that she's off duty, she's recuperating for several months, that we're not expected to see her until April. They haven't ruled out that she might talk about what has happened to her, but that would be her decision made in her time, and I don't get any sense of that. But I think just describing Prince William's absence this week as a personal matter certainly hasn't satisfied people, not just out of pure speculation and gossip, but really because of concern. Because, when you've got the king unwell, when you've got the Princess of Wales unwell, and then you get a last minute pull out by Prince William when he was only due to be going up the road to St. George's Chapel and for his godfather and giving a reading, then you do start to worry. He is, though, meant to be back on duty today and tomorrow, and we're told those engagements are going ahead.
Sarah, do they care about the giant now internet industry of gossip around them? I mean, the number of people I know who go into sort of Twitter holes or TikTok holes or Instagram holes where it's just endless speculation about them, all sorts of conspiracy theories, and they wouldn't tolerate that if that was in the foreign press to an extent. They certainly wouldn't tolerate it if it was in the domestic press. Do they just hold their hands up and say we can't control it? Because it's now almost the first thing I think of when I think of this couple and this family is the amount of stuff that's speculated about them online.
Yeah, and frankly, some of that stuff is completely bonkers, isn't it, Stig? If you ever do go down that hole, and then of course the algorithms mean it keeps being pumped at you all the time. But yes, it's a big problem for them. Harry and Meghan themselves have talked about the threat from social media and actually revealed that they did read the kind of remarks that were made about them and the kind of conspiracy theories. It's a really, really difficult one for the palace because there's nothing they can do about it. They can't control it. They can't shut it down. At the moment, the approach seems to be the age-old never complain, never explain. But it is very, very difficult because I've lost track of the amount of people who've asked me whether some of these wild claims are actually true. And this week alone, my WhatsApps, I don't know about yours, have been going mad with questions about what.
It's just from my wife. It's just from my wife, Sarah, and I just keep telling her I don't know the answer. Like, stop asking me. I don't know anymore. I'm going to give her your number because you might actually be able to answer the question.
Poor Sarah. Sarah Hewson, Talk TV's royal correspondent. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, when I said I know lots of people who go down social media,
You meant your wife.
I'm mainly mentioning her, yeah, but it's definitely a thing, and her friends do it as well. They all sort of WhatsApp each other about it.
I think it's very common. It's happened to me definitely on TikTok. If you click on one video, as Sarah says, you will end up in a spiral of different videos.
I'm very frustrated because I just don't care. So I get asked the question, what's going on about William and Kate? I'm like, I don't know. I don't really care. But I'm not bothered.
I think marriage means that you have to try and care.
Yeah, I'll try better. Look, there we go. Sarah gave us something there.
Yeah, she's giving you a conversation stuff.
Exactly. I hope Nadine was listening.